Hey everybody, welcome to Remedy This. Today, you're going to discover 14 signs you may have a vitamin D deficiency. Make sure to watch all the way to the end because number 7 is something you may have never heard of. And then there's number 14 that is one I bet you didn't realize and it's downright scary to consider. So let's get started. Vitamin D is a very important nutrient that has extremely beneficial effects throughout your entire body. Be that as it may, many people just can't seem to get enough vitamin D to the tune of about 40% of American adults and at least a billion people worldwide being deficient in vitamin D. The question that has to be asked is, why? One of the biggest problems is that very few foods actually contain vitamin D. Most vitamin D you produce is due to a response by your skin to the UV rays from the sun. Another reason for vitamin D deficiency is it's just a simple fact that it's hard to identify what symptoms are actually caused by vitamin D deficiency or if it's something else causing a given symptom. However, if you're concerned about your own levels of vitamin D, the following are some suggestions that you can watch out for as probable signs that you may be lacking in vitamin D. Number 1. Aching muscles. Muscle function depends on vitamin D for support. Metabolized vitamin D makes sure that the muscle is contracting properly. That's also important for building strength in your muscles. But if you're having pain in your muscles and it's not from overworking them through exercise, it could very well be due to improper levels of vitamin D. There have even been studies done that show continued muscle pain in test subjects that don't respond to any kind of treatment is more often than not due to a deficiency of vitamin D. Number 2. Painful bones. Once you become an adult, your bones stop growing. However, new bone tissue is always replacing old tissue and vitamin D is a very important part of this process. So a vitamin D deficiency can cause your bones to become softer over time, which is called osteomalacia, or more commonly known as adult rickets. This can also lead to osteoporosis. Muscle pain and bone pain can be difficult to differentiate between, so it's important to know how to tell one from the other. You can typically pinpoint muscle pain to one specific area and it's usually aggravated by physical activity. But bone pain has a more penetrating feel to it and this pain is spread over a broader area. Number 3. Fatigue. One condition we overlook because we tend to blame it on a multitude of different things is fatigue. In addition, your body needs vitamin D in order to create the energy it needs daily. So low levels of vitamin D in your body is going to make you feel more tired and run down as your day progresses. If you're anything like me, you know that being tired and fatigued can cause you to exhibit negative emotions and behaviors, and that can have an adverse effect on your health. So pay attention to your body when you're feeling tired and run down and you can't figure out what's causing it. You may very well be in need of more vitamin D. Number 4. Reduce endurance. Are you a physically active person? Have you ever noticed your endurance is decreasing but you can't pinpoint any reason for the decrease? Insufficient vitamin D levels in your body may be the reason why. I mentioned it before, the role that vitamin D plays is not just maintaining, but also increasing your energy levels. Well, this is also the case when it comes to endurance. If a vitamin D deficiency is the cause of your reduced endurance, then the good news is that once sufficient vitamin D levels return, you will notice quick improvements in your endurance. Number 5. Low moods. In addition to being an important player in your brain's health, vitamin D also affects your mood. Your brain actually has vitamin D receptors in the specific areas associated with mood. That means brain cells will be adversely affected by low levels of vitamin D. Keeping in mind that research is still ongoing, we do have suggestive evidence that vitamin D increases specific neurotransmitters in your brain known as monoamines. Included are the ever-popular feel-good chemicals known as serotonin and dopamine. You can almost bet if you're feeling depressed or just in a low state, you're not having enough of these chemicals floating around in your brain. So let's put 2 and 2 together. So a lot of people, and maybe even yourself, experience a low mood or depression during the winter. The technical name for this is seasonal affective disorder. We also know the best source of vitamin D is sunlight, and it's sunlight through UV rays directly on your skin. So this lack of contact with direct sunlight can cause insufficient levels of vitamin D in your body, which in turn causes a reduced amount of the feel-good chemicals, serotonin and dopamine, to be present in your body as well. And this can be a cause for the low mood or depressed state we tend to find ourselves in during the winter months. Number 6. Problems sleeping well. Getting a good night's sleep is also dependent upon sufficient vitamin D levels in your body. This is still an area of study and it's not quite known the exact relationship between vitamin D and how good you sleep, but the current research definitely does show a relationship between how good you sleep as being directly proportionate to your vitamin D levels. It's thought that this may have something to do with those vitamin D receptors in your brain that actually control sleep, because if they're not getting enough vitamin D, they're not going to work as efficiently as they should, which in turn results in a poor night's sleep. Number 7. Sweaty head. It's common knowledge that our body perspires in order to cool itself when its temperature gets above 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius. Sweating is also present in order to clean toxins from the fat cells under your skin. However, have you ever had just your head sweat while the rest of your body remains dry? Yup, you guessed it. This is an indication that you're probably not getting a sufficient amount of vitamin D. Number 8. Losing hair. Vitamin D stimulates the growth of hair follicles. Your hair follicle will maintain its volume when it's healthy. Therefore, even though some hair loss is typical as you age, vitamin D deficiency can also cause you to experience hair loss. And this is especially the case for women. Alopecia, which is an autoimmune disease resulting in bald patches, also has associated research that suggests it may be the result of, or partially the result of, low levels of vitamin D. Number 9. Wounds heal slowly. If you have a wound that takes a long time to heal after being injured, it very well could be due to a lack of vitamin D in your body, because vitamin D plays a very important role in the reconstruction of your skin. So if you're not getting enough vitamin D, healing is going to take on a slower pace. And this can be a big problem, especially after surgery, where you could end up with much more visible scarring. Number 10. Dizziness. Proper ear functioning is also dependent upon sufficient vitamin D levels in your body. Research has shown that in your inner ear exist vitamin D receptors. They are there to maintain proper calcium balance. If you end up having calcium crystals in your inner ear break loose, you can end up experiencing dizzy spells, nausea, and other less than pleasant symptoms. You've probably heard this condition referred to as vertigo. There is plenty of research that associates vertigo to low vitamin D levels. Number 11. Heart problems. One risk factor most underestimated for heart disease is a vitamin D deficiency. Research is coming back with more and more proof to indicate this. Not surprisingly, there seems to also be a correlation between low vitamin D levels and high blood pressure. There have been some pretty big research studies that have all shown that insufficient levels of vitamin D in the body doubling the risk of having a heart attack, a stroke, or some other adverse heart condition. Number 12. Excessive body weight. It is believed that vitamin D plays a key role in optimizing your body's ability to absorb nutrients like calcium, which is very important not just for bone health, but also important for a healthy metabolism. It helps in the burning of calories. Therefore, it goes without saying that research has suggested that obesity increases your body's need for vitamin D because you have such a higher amount of fat tissue. In addition, overweight people may need as much as 3 times the amount of vitamin D than people at a healthy weight in order to convert enough of that vitamin D into a more efficient form and maintain healthy levels necessary for burning calories. Number 13. Recurring infections. Wouldn't you know, the overall health of your body's immune system is also directly affected by your vitamin D levels. As long as you have healthy sufficient levels of vitamin D in your body, the immune system is going to function properly and defeat infections and diseases the way it's supposed to. However, low levels of vitamin D in your body can result in adverse effects by dramatically weakening your immune system, which in turn will make you more vulnerable to repetitive infections as well as chronic diseases. Number 14. Reduced cognitive function. And if everything to this point wasn't enough, we also have to consider the neuroprotective effects vitamin D provides. What that means is vitamin D supports the maintaining of nerve function that is vital for proper brain function. There's research that strongly supports the idea that vitamin D deficiency is a major factor in the brain's reduced cognitive ability. In fact, researchers are pretty confident that low vitamin D levels are associated with dementia and Alzheimer's. And when considering adults with severe vitamin D deficiencies, they are 4 times more likely to suffer from reduced cognitive brain function. Vitamin D deficiency is without a doubt a worldwide issue, but there are some things that can result in an even higher risk of experiencing low levels of vitamin D. You know that one of the best sources of vitamin D is sunlight, so if you spend too much time inside, you are obviously at risk of having low levels of vitamin D in your body. And for those who have darker skin, you will naturally produce less vitamin D because you have higher levels of melanin in your skin. Melanin is actually there to prevent excessive exposure to UV light, which is what sunlight is. You should definitely get your blood levels checked if you think you may have an insufficient level of vitamin D in your body. Fortunately, vitamin D deficiency is relatively easy to fix. You can get out in the sun more often, eat more vitamin D rich foods, or just take a vitamin D supplement. If your blood levels show you are significantly low in vitamin D, your doctor can even prescribe megadoses of vitamin D to take for a short period of time. Getting your vitamin D levels up will result in significant improvements to your overall health. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please help us out by giving it a thumbs up and sharing it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for this channel so you don't miss any of our new videos about home remedies and much more.